The achievers.
I don't know.
Where is... Where is the compromise between good and evil? Should Jesus have cut a different deal? Well, no, seriously, from a standpoint of what we have to do, folks, this is not about taking a policy or a process that the Democrats have put forward and fighting over it around the edges. If we're going to convince the minds and hearts of the American people that what's about to happen to them is as disastrous as anything in their lives in peacetime, we're going to have to discuss philosophy with it. We are going to have to talk about principle, because our principles are not present in what's happening here. So where the hell do we go to compromise what we believe in when our principles are not there? Principles are just the opposite of what is happening. The American people, it's a tough challenge. I admit it's a tough challenge, but it's worth it. It's worth it. The way I just defined bipartisanship, you could turn it around. Liberals will define bipartisanship when we surrender and say, okay, we give. We're not quitting. We are not giving up. Country's too important. Now, there are certain realities. We don't have the votes in Capitol Hill to stop what's going to happen. What we can do is slow it down. Parliamentary procedures, slow it down and do the best we can to inform the American people of what's really on the horizon. I know it's going to be tough. At some point, I don't think it can happen even right now. I mean, this is still a honeymoon period, and there's a lot of devotion to the Obama administration. It has nothing to do with intellect or thinking. It's feelings. It's just going to take some time for this to play out. But I spoke to David Keene, interviewing him for my newsletter. I asked him about this, and he said they're going to overreach. Wouldn't you say they have? They're going to overreach. At some point, people are going to realize none of this is possible. You can't have people living in homes they don't pay for. You can't have people driving cars they don't pay for. I mean, you can for a while, but after a while, the people paying for it are like, screw this. We're not putting up with it. And you're going to see, and you're already starting to see evidence of this, all these tea parties that are starting to bubble up out there. Those are great. They're fabulous. Here's the big question. Here's the big question. And I ask this again in the context of my first address to the nation. You don't know how I love saying that, how excited I am about this. Aside from the bastardization of the Constitution that the Obama plans are, that TARP is, it's not constitutional. Aside from that, where's the evidence that the people authoring all this have ever succeeded in any similar plans before? There's none. There is no evidence it works. So, you say, well then how's he getting it done? Dumb down public education, dumb down public emotions, and the ongoing, this is why I think it's such a waste for a man as gifted as President Obama with the communication skills. Do you know what? He could wipe out the Republican Party. He could wipe out the Republican Party if he would inspire this country to be the best it could be, but we don't have to worry about that because that's not what he wants. He wants people in fear, angst, and crisis, fearing the worst each and every day, because that clears the decks for President Obama and his pals to come in with the answers, which are abject failures, historically shown and demonstrated. Doesn't matter. They'll have control of it when it's all over. And that's what they want, because they think they can do it better. They see these inequalities, these inequities that capitalism produces. How do they try to fix it? Do they try to elevate those at the bottom No, they try to tear down the people at the top. It's not fair you're up there, so they whack you. That's not what made the country great. And no evidence of it is in play here. John Kerry. Served in Vietnam. Now stop and think of this. And by the way, Barney Frank got involved in this too. Northern Trust, a bank in Chicago, by the way, which holds the mortgage to the Messiah's house purchased by Tony Resco. Northern Trust holds the mortgage. Northern Trust was forced, like Wells Fargo was forced, to take TARP money. The Wells Fargo CEO said they were taken in Paulson's room and they were given at 5 o'clock to sign it and they weren't getting out till they did. They wanted it spread all over the banking business. Northern Trust was in there. They didn't want it. They took $1.6 million. As you know, they went out, they sponsored the LA Riviera Open 2 weeks ago that Phil Mickelson barely hung on a one. And you're like, Phil? We find out that they hired some liberals to entertain, but it still wasn't good enough. They hired Sheryl Crow. They hired the rock crooner group Chicago, but they had the audacity, Northern Trust did, to entertain their clients, to try to reward their best customers, to try to get new customers. Banking's in trouble. Northern Trust is trying to do what they always do, what all businesses do, and that is mine for new clients and reward existing good customers. Not since they took $1.6 billion, I guess. The haughty John Kerry wrote a piece of legislation, said he's getting sick and tired of these CEOs using taxpayer money to throw all these lavish parties. And I'm saying, where do you get yours, Senator? Sad thing is that it works. They've created class envy in so many average Americans that they love hearing that. Yeah, you get even with those bank guys. How's it going to improve here? Let me ask you a question, those of you watching my first national address. Take the favorite villain you've got. Maybe it's John Thane at Merrill Lynch because he used his own money, his company's own money, to redecorate a bathroom in an office for $1.2 million. By the way, to do that, he had to hire a contractor. They got paid. He had to hire a designer, had to buy furniture. That's called stimulus. And he did it. But all of a sudden, John Thane's thrown out. John Thane's humiliated. John Thane's embarrassed. How dare he? He did this a year before they took TARP money. And all these congressmen are standing up saying, this is not going to happen. We are not going to watch these people capping executive pay while Obama tries to live like one. You know, he's trying to emulate the lifestyle he is attacking. That's what liberals do. The two sets of rules, one for them, one for everybody else. But it's coming. If you think that John Thane or the Northern Trust CEO, if you love them getting attacked, if you love them being ripped, ask yourself the next day, do you have any more money in your pocket? Is your life any better because that guy got taken out or taken down by some haughty senator from Massachusetts? And if you ask yourself this, you will realize your life is no better off, that the Democrats and